Hello guys. Thank you for joining me today. This is a very quick video to where I want to touch base very briefly on Exchange, right? So Microsoft Exchange, that is the service which is responsible for mail delivery. So anything to do with emails comes from Microsoft Exchange. And the only thing that I wanted to show you today is the groups which exists in Microsoft Exchange. So when we go to uh, Office 365 admin portal, you see there are different admin centers here. If I click on Exchange one, it opens some things here, and there is also option to see the new Exchange Center. So let me get to the new Exchange Center. So here I see some options, right? Recipients, mail flow, roles, organization, public folders, and classic Exchange admin center. The thing that I have interest in right now is this one, groups. When we work with emails, right? Most of the time we are familiar with what's called distribution list. So when multiple recipients are on the same list, you can send messages to them. Most people know what it is. But also in Office 365, you see there are another three type of groups. One is called Microsoft 365, one is mail-enabled security, and one is dynamic distribution list. So what is the main difference between those groups, right? Let's have a quick look. When I try to create a new group, I get the following options. So Microsoft 365, which is recommended. And what we know about this group, it's basically a group of people which also receives a group email and a shared workspace. So there will be a SharePoint site which is connected to this Microsoft 365 group. And also, yeah, you see they're called groups. So when I go to my Outlook, let me give it an example. If I go to office.com and click on Outlook, I log in here, right? And here I see groups, right? So these are the groups which are created if I select these options. And based on those groups, we can also create teams. So basically, underneath the hood for each team, there is a Microsoft 365 group. Right? It's kind of a combination of a couple of different services. As you see here, it's Exchange service, which is responsible for mail delivery, and also there is a connected SharePoint service, which gives you shared workspace. Then, so this is the first option, and this is what Microsoft is recommending to use. Then there is distribution. This is a basic group which has some people in it. And it's also possible to use it, so there is no issue with that. If you only have you know, for your business, you just need to send emails to a couple of people, that should be sufficient, right? And of course, the recommended way is this one, but it still works. Then there is mail-enabled security. The difference between mail-enabled security and distribution group, that on this level, you can configure permissions, right? And also you can um, give access to specific resources for this group. And like, for example, if you have a SharePoint library where you want to invite some people at the same time, you can configure mail enable security group. This one is the most interesting. It's called dynamic distribution group. And what it means is that there are some filters that we can configure for this group. So if I select dynamic distribution group, and specify a filter, then this group will be redefined each time when the message set. So it means that, let's say I have mm, created a filter on a specific, based on specific domain, right? And then the domain has changed, then no one will receive the message because the domain does not exist anymore. So let me give you just, I go through steps to create the dynamic distribution group. So that way, you know for sure what happens when we do that. So here I go to set up the basics. I give it a name, dynamic group one. Put some description, and you see here I can specify the owner. So in our case, Alex will be the owner of this group. And here I can specify who will receive the messages for this group. And let's see, I want to say the message to send the messages to people who have Exchange mailboxes, or it could be, like people who have external addresses. Let's say if I have a company policy that does not allow people to have external addresses, uh, then I can, send some kind of security notification to this one, to mail contacts with external addresses or mail-enabled groups. So these are basically filtering options that we can use. And then there is also, you see here, I have conditions. Let's say I select a department, right? And this would be HR. So based on this filter, it will send messages to all users who belong to HR department. So if one of my users is moved from HR to IT, as an example, which happens rarely, but it could be the case, uh, and then well, basically that user, when the message is sent next time, he will not receive this message. So that's the thing about Dynamics group. I give the group email address. I specify the domain on which, if I have multiple domain, it will appear here. And then I just click next. For some reason, this option is not available for me, but you get okay, it just takes a moment to update on the backend. I click next. You see, I review the settings again, the dynamic group, the owner, all the basics are here, and I create this group. That's it. Now you know the difference between four main group types in Office 365, to be precisely in Exchange. So all these groups are connected with mail delivery. Uh, to summarize one more time, so there is Microsoft 365 distribution list, mail enabled, and dynamic distribution. I hope it's been helpful to you. Have a wonderful day and stay healthy. Bye bye.